Hey, hello and welcome everybody. Today is Tuesday the 17th, 5 p.m. Pacific here in Las Vegas, and this is episode number 26 of my live stream. And today I have another very awesome guest on. I've got Garrett from 3D Print Farm on, and he's been doing a lot of amazing work with his lasers, resin printing, FDM. He is really an amazing guy. Let me bring him in right now and we can all say hi to him. Hey, Garrett.
Hey, Jerry. How's it going, buddy?
Pretty good. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. This is awesome.
Sure. Awesome. Glad to be here.
Let me see who all we got in chat. Let's see. Navari Makers, Trevor. Hello. How you doing, Trevor? Let's see. TK's 3D Prints. Hello, TK. Betty Boot 45. She's in another room. That's my wife. David Sell, hello. Astro Printer, non-fan. Thank you, everybody that's joining us on YouTube and on Facebook tonight. If you're on Facebook, there's a URL you can click. And if you click that, when you leave a comment, we'll be able to see your name in chat. But yeah, it's been a great day. I've been tinkering around here and there. SBC 3D, how you doing? Brian Bynes, hello, Brian. Anyway, yeah.
There's Brian.
That's been a lot of fun. Yeah, every week I slowly grow. I usually get 30 to 40 people watching on my weekly streams. And as I grow, one of these days it'd be awesome when I have over 100 people watching live. That'd be really cool. But people always come back and watch it later the next day. Anyway, yeah, if I could, let me start off with my first question. We'll get this rolling. What got you into 3D printing and about when? What got you interested?
Oh, gosh. It's probably around 7 years ago. I was tooling around and came across a printer called a PrinterBot Simple. And in fact, I shot you that video earlier today of, yeah, I actually had to build this printer from, it was a wooden kit, if you can believe that. And it really taught me a lot about 3D printers. I mean, this was an elephant that I it was kind of a movable. Of course, it never worked. it was supposed to be movable, and where you could move the legs and everything. But yeah, that is a laser cut wooden printer. It's called a PrinterBot, and wow. I quickly upgraded that to a PrinterBot Simple Metal, which you basically took all the guts out and swapped it over to a metal case, and that's what kind of got me hooked. I don't know when I published that thing. What was it, 2014? So yeah, that was about six years ago or so ish. And yeah, that's kind of what got me hooked. I was printing one of those for my grandkids, but just kind of went from there, and then ended up getting a Flash Forge Creator. It was one of the one I found on eBay. It was one of these kind of in the box kind of a deal where it's as is and where is, and once you get it, then you see if you can fix it. So yeah, that was the second one I got. It came in a giant box. But
hello, Jim, Astro Printer, Ken here, Ken Sturrock. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Jim.
If anybody has any questions that you'd like to ask during the stream, please post them in the comments, and we'll definitely ask them. Let me show you some pictures here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You live on a farm. That's right. In Arkansas, don't you?
I do. Yes, sir.
You are lucky. When I walk outside, I see dirt.
That's Hot Rod. That's my little Jack, and he's probably around 2.5 to 3 years old. So he's a menace.
Is he a donkey or a burro?
Now he's a miniature donkey.
Okay.
And then his girlfriend, I sent another picture. That's Buttercup. So she's up close and personal there at the fence. So that's his girlfriend. She's a little Jenny. She's a miniature donkey as well. So she's about 8 or 9 years old. So they stay in the back pasture.
And here we got some chickens.
Yeah, that's my wife's chickens. So that's a little play yard that they have. Their chicken coops kind of in the background there. So they're just kind of hanging out.
So you have fresh eggs daily, right?
Daily, yes, sir. I go down to in fact, in the back of that picture, you can kind of see where their coop is, and I go out there every morning and get my breakfast.
Yeah, fresh eggs are so much better than what you get at Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
You've been sitting around for weeks or weeks.
Big time,
Yeah.
Big time.
All right. And then you have a little side business here?
Yeah, that's my coffee truck. So we started this. I actually bought this trailer last year around this time, and we went to a graphic design guy here that we know, and then we had it wrapped, and we basically pretty much just do events only. So usually around in the fall sometime, we head out to either the Christmas tree farm. There's a Christmas tree farm where people can go cut their own Christmas trees. We go to there's a local pumpkin patch where people can, pick their own pumpkins, and we set up there on the weekends and sell coffee and lemonade and cold fraps and good stuff to eat. And it's actually a lot of fun. Something fun to do in the fall, make a little bit of money for Christmas time. And but yeah, it's a cool little side business.
Astro Printer's wondering if you roast your own coffee.
I don't roast my own coffee, but I do use a local roaster. We use Onyx brand. If you guys are familiar with Onyx, the Onyx coffee folks are just right up the road from us in Rogers, Arkansas, and we buy all our coffee from all the fresh roasted coffee from Onyx.
Wow, very nice. Yeah, I used to drink regular coffee, like 2 pots a day, and now I'm drinking decaf a pot a day. But it doesn't keep me awake, no matter what people tell you about drinking coffee. You want to wake up, drink a Monster.
No.
5-hour energy or Monster. They'll keep you awake.
That'd do me in.
So, yeah, usually when I have a live stream, I'll start getting kind of down and tired. I got my second wind by this time of the day. So I drink a Monster. Now, at midnight tonight, I'm not going to want to go to bed at all.
There you go.
But, yeah, I got a new hobby I just started recently. I'm starting to get into, as a lot of people know. And, I got a new toy.
Nice. Got a K40.
Yeah, it's on the K40 group on Facebook, and there's a company in California that ships these out right away. It's called OMTech, and they had a discount code there, which I listed in the video, where I got like 10, 15% off. I saved like $40. I need to do a lot of upgrades to make it be a lot better machine, but I ordered it last Wednesday, and it was here Friday at my house, that quick, 2 days.
Sweet.
So I didn't have to worry about it coming from over the pond or off eBay. The company guarantees it for 2 years and consumables for a year. And that's through California, not the company. So that's pretty cool.
Nice. That's a gateway drug. That's such a gateway laser. So, once you get one, you're going to want the 100-watt one, and you're going to keep buying lasers, Jerry. You can ask Jim over at the Edge of Tech. He knows. He knows what I'm talking about.
I didn't want to start with a diode laser with magnets, or I didn't want to get an Otur. I wanted to get an Otur, but I knew I'm going to want to upgrade fairly soon. So I went ahead and hopscotched it, and I figured I'll just get a little CO2 laser. That way I took a leapfrog. Yeah, and someday if I ever get into fiber lasers, which I don't think I will, here's a coin that Trevor did from Navari 3D printing.
Cool.
He's in chat right now. That solid brass that he engraved that and polished it, that is a beautiful coin. It's very heavy on a fiber laser. And here in Las Vegas 2 days ago, Nellis Auction, they sell Amazon returns and a lot of different things. They had a fiber laser on there, and they said it was worth $7,000. It was brand new. And of course I can't afford it. I don't have that kind of money, but it went for $2,000. The bid had like 35 bids on it. Now, of course, the high bidder might have been willing to go another 1,000. You don't know, but that's where it stopped at, a little over $2,000. Thinking, wow, that's cool. It's a hell of a discount if you have a use for a fiber laser, or you got a business going where you're producing awesome things like this. So yeah, it's amazing that you can etch in metal, and I don't know what all you can do with it. And I know zero about lasers. I mean, I have good common sense on things I've done my whole life, but I'll learn. So the one video
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It really
You've
is.
been doing a lot of amazing things too here. As an example, which I think Jim done this also, but this is awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, so that's of course that's the Incredible Hulk there. So what I did is I took a 4-inch tile from Lowe's. It's basically just a ceramic tile, and what you do is you want to clean it really good with some type of solvent like acetone or something to clean all the film, because usually when you buy those tiles at Lowe's, they have some type of a film on them, so you have to clean them really well. Clean it up really good and get you any color of paint. Of course, I chose the I think it was jungle green Krylon. So I put a couple coats of jungle green Krylon on that, and then let that dry real well, and then spray painted it with gloss black. So that's how you start. And then I put it on my my Ortur, my diode laser, and loaded an image into Lightburn. And of course, I inverted the image, and so you put the laser on just low enough power that it will burn that black paint off, so it leaves that green paint underneath it. And I know Jim's done some amazing things with these tiles as well. It's kind of gone crazy with the folks that are doing these tiles, because you can use all kinds of paints. Jim's got a great video too that shows you how to take actually one color, and you actually burn different squares at different powers, and you get different shades of color. And that's really cool as well. And you see people doing all kinds of things and on some of the Facebook forums with these tiles. And again, that's one of those things. You can take the tile once you've completed it, take some lacquer and coat it. And then, if you want to sell them as coasters, you can take pictures of your family, your friends, your pets, any type of things like that. Old black and white photos, you can convert them. Just all kinds of cool stuff, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, Jim, while you're watching, if you want to post a link to your channel, you're welcome to do so. That way people can subscribe to you also. And please go and subscribe to Garret at 3D Print Farm. I've got a link down below in the description.
But yeah, Jerry with the K. Oh, go ahead. Oh yeah, there's Mr. Yoda.
Very nice. And for the most part, as people know, most of the stuff that people download is copyrighted. And of course, you have to say that in the video. But for the most part, as long as you're, selling a little here, a little there, nobody's going to say nothing. But you have to kind of put a disclaimer out. So if somebody got in trouble, they say, "Well, he told me to."
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the stuff that I do, especially like with the Hulk and things like that, I would consider it fan art. So I'm using it for my own personal use. I would never sell anything like that. So, but yeah, but if you, like I said, the really cool thing about it is, a lot of folks, they have old photographs like of their grandparents or old photographs of their pets. You can take those and either scan them or put them into Lightburn, and you can burn them on a tile, and they make like awesome Christmas gifts and for a coaster or just something to display.
I forgot the name, but I was going to get a Cohesion 3D board, which they sell for $199, and they have up to 4 axes, and you can use them for all kinds of real expensive equipment. And then I found out, since I only have 2 axes on this X and Y, I don't need to spend $200. I can spend $89 and get a, what's it called? I forget the name. A mini Gerbil.
Yeah, mini Gerbil.
Yeah, mini Gerbil. I can get a mini Gerbil, and then I can get Lightburn, the G-code version, for $40 and go that route.
Yeah, and I if anyone is thinking about going Lightburn, I mean, it's $40, and the great thing about it is you can use it for a diode laser, you can use it for your K40, you can use it, if you end up getting a fiber laser, you can use it for multiple lasers. And once you learn the software, it's actually fairly easy to use, and because basically all you're doing is just adjusting the power. You have different layers that you can use. It's kind of similar to Photoshop. If folks are using Photoshop, it's kind of similar to that when it comes to the layers. But with the layers in Lightburn, you can actually adjust the power of each of those layers. So you can do some really interesting things with Lightburn. It's a really cool piece of software.
I think you and Jim both did a video on how you, when you first start out and you first want to paint a tile, how you determine how deep to burn. So people kind of get an idea how to do that starting out. Obviously, I don't know, so I'm going to have to watch your guys' videos and figure all that out. And then one of these days, I'll be able to make a video about it. So anyway, but yeah, let's move on here to a few things. And you're really into resin. I've been following you for a long time in the El Gumar's group and seen a lot of stuff you've been printing. But here's a really nice print here, if I could pull it up.
Yeah, that's one of the prints from Loot Studios. That's one of the. It looks like a. It's either one of their. Oh gosh, I think it's a rogue, if I'm not mistaken. It's one of the characters. If you haven't checked out Loot Studios, the folks are really super nice. They're out of Brazil, and they do a monthly release on different miniatures, and super cool.
Get back here, and here's the next one. Is this FDM or is this resin?
That's resin.
Okay.
Yeah, that's resin. I think I did hit that with some primer just to kind of bring out some of the highlights. So that's kind of a samurai tiger going on there. So that one I did on the Frozen Sonic Mini, and that one turned out really nice. I mean, just you can see some of the detail in the samurai swords as well, just like the little ridges in there, and that one turned out really nice. The resin printers to me are just amazing. You can get amazing detail with those things.
Let me go back to my comments. I see Jim is posting a comment. I got a question about this. Now, for the G-code version for the laser, it's only $40, so I don't understand why he's mentioning it's $80 for Lightburn. For the G-code version, it's $40. And then he has a link. Jim, you can post a link to your channel, so people can go join you and check out your awesome videos if you'd like. And that is really awesome.
Yeah, that's another one from Loot Studios, and that was before I painted it. That is ZYLTECH Smoky Black, and it's a transparent resin.
I'm getting behind on the questions. Jim is wondering, how did you unfreeze it?
Unfreeze it. Unfreeze what?
Yes, I lost it. Yep, I know that's hot. Yep, that is beautiful.
So here's the guy here. Here's, if you can see it. Yeah. That's the painted. Let me get it in the picture there. I mean, this camera really doesn't do it justice, but yeah, this is a really cool print from Loot Studios.
Very nice.
It is a multi-part print, so yeah, cool stuff.
Oh, okay. He's talking about you. LOL. You use your Frozen Sonic Mini. Okay. All right.
You know, yeah. You should have spelled it with a PH, Jim.
Bad thing about StreamYard, because you got like a 20 or 25 second delay. I see it in YouTube. It eventually pops up in StreamYard, and then we might have moved on, and then I get behind on what people are talking about sometimes. Or if I'm looking at pictures, I'm on a different screen.
I see Astro Printer's got a question there. If I make money from my laser and 3D printing in general. So yeah, I mean, to answer that question, it's really up to you. I mean, you know, you can start out with family and friends. You know, if you're on Facebook or any of the social media sites and you know folks, that's actually a really good way to connect with people. And you know, it's what I would do is if you found a really cool, you know, people post pictures all the time of their family and their friends, you know, and if you, as a surprise, you can take one of those images and you know, you could burn it on a tile and you could give it to them as a gift, and you know, they may turn around and say, hey, can you do me a dozen of those? You know, another thing is, and I was talking to Jerry about this the other day, is that a lot of folks that have Patreons, they'll have different levels of Patreon. So let's say one of these guys that do the miniatures. So you can get a license, a vendor license through them, and they're usually around $25 to $30 a month for those. and it gives you the ability to print items and sell them. So if you wanted to set up an Etsy account, and really you don't have any inventory, right? I mean, so if someone orders one, you just put it on your printer and print it out and send it to them. So, there's a way to make money on Etsy by selling, and what you're doing is you're supporting the artist, and you're, kind of helping you support yourself too with any of the 3D prints.
Yeah, Jim just put out another video, which I never knew you could do it, but he burned onto canvas. He went and bought some frames off Amazon, and he painted it in the same way as a tile, and that really came out awesome, Jim. That's a great job. I can't wait to try stuff like that, but I'm there. I got the machine. I just got to buy all the goodies to go with it.
Yeah, there's some really cool stuff. I've got some other cool stuff in store for the laser too. I met this artist that he actually uses his laser in his art studio, and some real cool techniques that anyone can do. You can go down to the Dollar Tree and pick up cheap stuff, and you can make some really amazing stuff with the laser. And yeah, I saw Jim's video as well, and when you put stuff on canvas like that, sometimes it almost looks like a painting, and it looks really cool. Looks really cool. And again, these diode lasers, you can do anything and everything with the diode laser. As far as engraving, or doing the tiles, doing the canvas, lots of cool stuff.
Did you say you had a CO2 laser, a larger K40 that you don't use very often, or?
Well, I'm kind of in the same situation. I've got all these printers, and I've got several diode lasers, and I've got this K40 sitting here, and I haven't really I've done a little bit with it. I mean, I added a milliamp meter, and I ordered a cohesion board. I got the cohesion board. I have some new lenses, but yeah, I'm slowly working on that, because there are some things you can do with the CO2 laser you can't do with the diode laser, and that's, you can cut a lot deeper. As far as if you're cutting wood, you can cut some really intricate, wood pieces with a CO2 laser. You can engrave glass. You can cut acrylic. You can do all kinds of stuff with the CO2 laser as well. Mm-hmm. Now your beam is going to be a little bit wider, so you may not be able to do as intricate of work as you can with a diode laser. As far as if you're wanting to do tile, you can still do the tile with the 40 watt, but you're going to have to really dial the power back on it. But it's still possible.
Yeah, cool. I don't have an opinion. I haven't used it yet, so I can't say anything about it. But anybody in chat, feel free to throw out your comments. And let's move on to another really cool print you have here.
Oh yeah, that one was a tough one. So that one that was on the Frozen Sonic Mini as well. And I'm trying to think, that was from Printed Obsession. I believe that's the print that I got from them. And she's kind of the lady of the lights, or lady of the lamps, or something like that. And that one was pretty creepy, kind of like The Ring kind of a deal. But that one kind of shows you how intricate these resin printers can get, and what kind of detail that you can get from the from your prints.
And you're using Cheetah Box on all your printers, right?
I have been, and the folks that own Lychee Slicer, I think they may be out of Belgium or France. They actually sent me a copy, and I've been playing around with the Lychee Slicer as well, and it's kind of cool in its own right. I mean, they have a free version out there, and I really like the way they do their supports. With it's a little bit easier than Cheetah Box, and but actually time will tell on that.
I've had my Mars since probably last August, I think it is. I've replaced the screen twice now, and a strange thing happened about a week ago. The print got done. I went to push the button on the front, to clear the screen, and it wouldn't work. It's like, what the hell? But if I drop my finger a quarter of an inch below the button, then all the buttons are working. So I tried to recalibrate it, and it wouldn't do any good. In order to work any button, you got to go below it and push. So something got screwed up somehow.
Huh.
I don't know.
That's when you drop it. That's after you swap the screen out?
No. I swapped the screen back in December. From August to December, it went out, and then it's been almost 6-8 months until I've been using a second screen. Until I swapped it a second time. So I don't know.
Yeah, you may want to get in there and check your connections and make sure that nothing's wiggled loose from the vibrations of the stepper motor and things like that. So
I carried it from this room out to my other room. I think I got a picture here somewhere. This was an open patio. It's underneath my house, and I put a wall up right there, and I had put all my paint and resin stuff out there. I've got the Elegoo Mars there on the left-hand side. I just need to make the table bigger. And then since then, I've added paint racks to that wall because the CO2 laser in this picture, I don't have it yet. So, and there's some other pictures of my messy hobby room. This is where I'm currently sitting at. Just a bunch of this, a bunch of that. And here's 4 years of spending lots and lots of money on film. So, you know, I do have more stuff than this. I probably got another half a shelf of stuff throughout the house and in the spare room. But yeah, I've got a problem. I need to be on Etsy moving stuff. I haven't yet, but I need to. So, jump over to comments here. That'll be awesome, Jim. Yeah, the only thing bad about StreamYard, if you're a guest, you can't type in chat. And if you don't have dual monitors, and you can't type on YouTube, so you're kind of stuck, which I don't like about that. They need to, I think they're working on it so guests can type back in chat. Let's see. I must admit I stopped using Chitterbox when it gave me a Halloween slicing error. Yeah, I've had no problems with Chitterbox. I usually read on the Elegoo group, somebody will, like Uncle Jesse, I know he downloaded the version and he lost all of his profiles and everything, and he's about to pull his hair out. So it's like, whoa, I'm not going to upgrade. I'll just keep printing like I am and not do it. And eventually I did upgrade.
And Chitubox can get really flaky sometimes. You know, it just kind of it kind of craps out on you, and it's not cool, especially if you're sitting there, you know, placing supports and it messes up. It's not cool. But you know, you can keep multiple versions of Chitubox on your PC. I try to go in and clean them up, but when you install the new one, it doesn't uninstall the old one. The old ones are still on there. So you know, a lot of times I don't know which I'm in, you know, which version of Chitubox I'm in. So I physically have to go in and see what version I'm using. So
I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to check that because I have upgraded. I'm not sure which one I'm using. But I know with Simplified 3D, for instance, you're working on a model. Next thing you know, half the screen disappears. It's like, what the hell?
I know it. And
then you got to start over, you know, unless you went back and saved it. But the factory file, which I usually don't, I got to redrop it in and increase it and move it, and it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I started with Simplified 3D years ago, and you know, I bought their $150 license or whatever it was, and you know, for a while they were releasing a lot of really cool updates, and but you know, I honestly, some of the other slicers, like Cura, for example, and Prusa, they just kind of overtook it, and you know, with all these the comments from them saying, oh, we're gonna have a really super, you know, good upgrade, or you know, really good upgrade for Simplified 3D, and then they say they're gonna charge all the folks that initially paid the $149, and you're supposed to get the upgrade, you know, for that. And I don't know. I think it kind of left a bad taste in some folks' mouth when they did that, and they don't really upgrade as much as you'd want to. I've got this. I've got an Ender 5 Plus, you know, and it's a large volume FDM printer, and I went to go out and put it out on Simplified 3D, but there's no profile for it. So you know, you got to take an old Ender 5, and then you just basically, you know, max out the bed size, and but then you got to get in there and tweak some things, and so but I did notice today, I watched Uncle Jesse's video the other day when he's talking about using the paint-on supports for a Prusa slicer, and I downloaded the alpha of Prusa slicer, and really surprisingly, they added some Creality printers in there, and the Ender 5 Plus was one of the default printers that you could select in that Prusa slicer, the new Prusa slicer alpha, and I was real pleased with that.
Yeah, one thing I hate about Simplified 3D, let's say I'm going to print a helmet, and I allow it to put supports on it, which includes the inside, which you don't need, and then I turn it on its side, and I spend 20 minutes, click, 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 getting rid of them. And that seems to be faster than having no supports, and I got to figure out where to put all of them. And I wish I could just circle an area and delete them. I hate spending a half hour clicking, removing supports like that.
Yep.
And a lot of people say, well, just add it manually. Well, yeah, then I might miss it or not get it right. So I usually let the program add it and then I take away, but it takes a long time.
Yep.
There's no way to circle them and just delete them. At least not that I know of. And let's move on here to another print. Let's see. Now that looks like a resin dye, right?
Yeah, that was actually that is an elemental, and that was another model from Loot Studios. And actually, what I did is I printed it in clear resin, and then I went through with actually alcohol ink, and I used a little bit of yellow alcohol ink and a little bit of brown, and just kind of drizzle it over the model, so you kind of get that kind of a cool rock effect.
Very nice.
That was another one from Loot Studios. That's I think that's one of their Creatures of the Night. I think that was from the October group. So that's one of their vampires that they did, kind of a Nosferatu kind of looking creature. So, yeah, they've got some really cool miniatures over on Loot.
I've been skipping my questions here. I'm kind of not on the ball tonight. Sorry, guys. How many printers do you think you have owned, and do you have a favorite?
Too many. I have too many printers. I don't even know how many actually, to be honest with you, I mean, I put a lot of printers out in the garage. I've probably got FDM printers, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe half a dozen. Well, more like maybe 15 resin printers. I'm sorry, 15 FDM printers, and maybe a dozen resin printers of all shapes, sizes, and yeah. And there's some that I like and some that I just can't stand. So yeah.
What's your biggest resin printer?
My biggest FDM printer now is the Ender 5. So
Okay.
that's at 350 by 350 by 400 or 450? Maybe it's 400. That's the biggest FDM printer I have. That was a recent. No, it's not the Artist D, Jim. That's another story, Jerry. And my biggest resin printer is I actually got a Peopoli Phenom.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got it's the big daddy here. It took my son-in-law and myself to take it out of the box because it weighs about 100 pounds. So I've got it sitting on my desk in here. So that's the next one I'm going to be doing some resin prints with. So I'm going to do I've got some resin coming that's more of a strength resin, because a lot of people are questioning about or have questions. A lot of resins are really brittle, and they want to use resin parts for things that can take some abuse, wear and tear.
Tenacious or something, aren't they mixing that in it?
Yeah, you can mix the two. I've got some from Monocure up here. It's called that's the 3D Rapid. I think it's Monocure Strong or something like that. And I've got a couple bottles of that, and then I've got some other resin coming that's specifically built for strength. But yeah, you can use the ZYLTECH. The one that they have is called Blue, BLU, and then some people mix that with Tenacious, which is more of a flexible filament. So if you mix the two together, they tend to work out real well. Probably my favorite resin printer so far is got to be my Frozen Sonic Mini, just because it's I really like the resin printers that have the monochrome screens versus the RGB screens, because of the longevity and the quickness of curing of the layers. Those are, I mean, when you're used to using a resin printer that takes 6 to 7 seconds a layer, and then you stick them on one of these and they're like 2.5 seconds a layer, you can print it in a third of the time.
Isn't the new screen where they're talking about they're only good for like 200 hours or something till they burn out?
Well, those are the RGB. Usually the RGB screens, they don't last as long. They're supposedly rated for 800 hours, but I never can get one that far until you start getting the, I think they call it the, is it the black dots of death or the spots of death or something like that? You'll start getting it if you start noticing holes in your resin print, and you'll need to check your LCD, and you'll start seeing black spots. you'll start seeing black spots on your LCD when you turn on the when you turn on the lamp. When you turn on the UV lamp, you'll see these black spots. So you start getting dead spots, and yeah. But now the monochrome screens are going to last. They usually will. Some of them are rated at 2,000 hours. So I mean, almost 3 times what you're going to get out of an RGB screen. And but who would have thought that you're going to go to black and white technology, right? I mean, from color.
I call that Muppet Jason. Somehow I've got resin underneath my FEP on top of the LCD. The print went ahead and finished. Of course, it was printed upside down, but I figured I'd keep it. That's my photo cement. And I call that Muppet Jason.
Nice. That's a keeper.
Yeah, it's funny. And here's when he comes out fine. Here's when the print's nice. Came out really good.
There you go.
Photo cement does some great work.
Yeah, he does.
And I used Sunlu resin, which I've never tried before. It's very sharp. Had a lot of pigment. Everything is nice and crisp on it. And the big giant bottle was like $25 for 1,000 grams or whatever.
Not bad.
But the only problem with it is that the cap had a crack in it. That's a kind of defect with a lot of them. The company knows about it, but it's a metal flask.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a Jason I've done. Or Freddy Krueger, excuse me.
Yeah, Freddy Krueger.
I'm getting old and forgetful. I mix up things. So then here's a Michael Myers, which is a William Shatner mask. This is by Photo Cement. That's done on PLA on my CR10. And that's from Giant Arm Filament. It's a G-Tech company. Let's see if any other goodies I can show. Okay, everybody that hasn't watched this show should. Breaking Bad, there's Walter White. So
that's nice. That's a nice color.
Yeah, it's a copper color called by Giant Arm. And let's see, I got one more I can show you.
How much infill do you have on that, Jerry? Is there any infill on that?
Yeah, my infill is 5% infill slice with simplified 3D. My layers are 644. Printing at 210 and 60 on the bed with temps. Almost every PLA I've ever tried, I usually print at 210 and then 60 on the bed. Very rarely do I have to bump it up or lower it. And that was printed on the CR10. And this other one was done on my Hypercube. That was on my Hypercube.
Nice.
And the Hypercube, I've had a lot of trouble. The only thing I still have a bug with is I have a little under extrusion right here. You can see a line in the print, and there's one up a little higher. And something's going on right at that elevation whenever I print anything. It's like it's under extruding or getting a partial clog, and then it corrects itself. But other than that, it came out real good. So let's see if we got any questions here in chat. And come back over to the pictures. See where we're at. I think we're right here. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's one of the heroes on. That's another Loot Studios. It's kind of a lizard man kind of a thing. That was in multiple parts. So the base print separate. I believe the sword was separate as well. And yeah, those. They've got some really talented artists. In fact, the guy Alvaro Ribeiro from Brazil. He's one of the owners of Loot Studios. He worked for a lot of the CGI studios, and if you check out some of his his work is just awesome. See you, Jim.
Really nice. Let me go back over here. I got another share screen. Let's see. I can just leave that. And here you are over on YouTube. It's your channel. You've got a lot of videos, a lot of cool videos. So no one that's subscribed to Garret at 3D Print Farm, please do so. Lots of cool stuff here. Yeah, I'm not really on the ball today. I'm not really sure why. I don't know. Sometimes I get kind of tired. I don't know. I was doing the Hangouts twice a week, then having my live stream. And, you know, what's bad about a Hangout? It's fun hanging out, talking to people about anything and everything for three or 4 hours, but you can't get anything accomplished. And my son's like, well, Dad, you could be painting stuff. Get something, set it right here and start painting. and then hang out and talk to people. And that's an idea. My wife says I got all this stuff that I print and I don't paint. Well, yeah. I rarely ever paint. I used to print constantly and post on Facebook, like 10 or 15 groups every couple days. But yeah, I kind of ran out of room and my credit card got maxed. So now I don't post as much as I used to. So, yeah. And then I paid it off and then ran it back up again. So
there you go.
Now I kind of live on donations whenever they come in, and I review things for companies.
Yep.
To support my hobby.
Actually, one of my favorite there was a Kickstarter campaign that I supported. It was maybe 6 months ago, but it was called Mythic Mugs. Are you familiar with Mythic Mugs? So what they did is they sold the here's one of the mugs here, if you can see that. So it's a
wow.
line. Let me back up. And the really cool thing is that there's an insert, and this insert allows you to pop it down on your mug, and then you can take like a can of soda, and it just kind of
Oh, cool.
There you go. So, and they had different ones. This one's particular was a lion, but they had different ones. I've got a dice box and things like that. So it was kind of along the Dungeons and Dragons line, and they came out with quite a few of them, and they're pretty cool.
TK says we'll have to do a dual screen and do some painting or something. So let's see.
And one of the things I got from Uncle Jesse, I printed this years ago, but this is my Batman headphone holder.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And the really cool thing about it is you can't really see real close to it, but what you do is you get you a can of the spray-on rubber stuff. What is that?
Like they dip tools in?
Yeah, they dip tools in, but what is the other? Flex Seal. I can't even remember the commercial. The Flex Seal. And what's really cool about Flex Seal is you can spray it on your PLA models, and all the lines disappear. So you got this nice, cool rubber coating, and that just kind of fit with the Batman theme because he's got the cowl and everything. And I didn't have to prime it. Didn't have to put any Bondo or anything like that. I just hit it with a couple coats of that, and it filled in on the lines. All the lines disappeared. So
well, that's nice. I know they got the bed coating. The bed coating you can spray in truck beds, toolboxes,
stuff
like that. There's different coatings, and then you can always go over top of them. And that laser I bought, I don't think I showed this earlier, but there's the tube port right there, and it's covered in packing tape. It's got clear packing tape and zip ties holding everything down. And because there's going to be water in it, I believe I should leave everything alone and not remove anything. Leave all that tape on there. There wasn't any packing in around it. And then here's a tag that was on it.
Okay.
So it appears to be a 700 millimeter long tube. I believe that's what that's for.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah, I went down to Lowe's and I bought a doohickey a vent hose deal so I can put in the wall. I'm going to cut a hole in it. And I thought about having it up high. And my son's like, well, on the patio, if you ever have a bad storm or wind, you don't want any water or anything to get in that vent and run down into your laser. So I might have the hose go down through the table and then out the wall. That way it's lower than a laser. So then I'll add a different fan to it. Trying to think parts resin.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I've heard of people doing that. They'll take resin and they'll paint their PLA with it and smooth it out. I haven't tried it, but I've heard people talking about it.
You could probably hit it with a UV light too afterwards and make it cure real quick.
Definitely. Yeah. Whenever I have my models, I'm not sure how you do it, but I'll take a Q-tip or a little eyedropper, put a drop of resin on there, hit it with a UV flashlight, and seal up the hole.
Yep.
And then if it's still got an indentation, put another drop on it and sand it off.
Yep. Yep. That works really well.
And as far as for hollowing models, typically I would hollow a model before I sliced it and put supports on it. But then when you do that, you got supports inside it. So then I figured, okay, we can go ahead and put all the supports on it. And then when I go back to the first screen before I slice it, I'll hollow it then. Then there won't be supports on the inside, but you might have an island.
Right.
So, and then you'll screw your print up. So typically I have to put supports in after I hollow it. And then, as you know, they're inside, they're internally everywhere.
Right. You're not going to see it anyway. So, yeah.
And then I got an ultrasonic cleaner with mean green in it. It goes from my bed to there, and I douse it really good and run it for 5 or 6 minutes. I take it out. I put it in a pickle barrel full of IPA, isopropyl alcohol, rinse it really good, shake it out. Then I take it to the sink just to get any IPA off of it, which will evaporate. Rinse it off, shake it out, let it completely dry. Then I put it in a UV curing station after that.
Yep.
And I would leave, and then I plug it in, I hit the timer on the microwave and go watch TV, or sometimes. I mean, I only want to cure it for 6 to 8 minutes per side. And then if I have to do the bottom, maybe 3 minutes. And I forget about it. And it's 8 hours later. It's like, oh no. So then Sun Lu sent me this little bitty contraption a couple weeks ago to little curing station. It's got a timer on it. So now when I set it, the timer goes off. You don't have to forget about, you don't forget about it. And that's pretty cool.
Cool.
It's good for small print. If you got a big print, of course, they won't fit.
Right. That's one thing that's real important is to, once you're, if you're doing resin printing, is once you've cleaned it and you've dried it, you have to make sure your print is 100% dry before you stick it under the UV light.
Yes.
Because a lot of times people they'll email me and say, hey, why did my print split wide open? Either there's some uncured resin on the inside of a hollow model, or if it was wet. And if it was wet, you're going to get, sometimes you'll get the white spots on it, and that's usually from either some uncured resin that's still on there that didn't get cleaned real well, or you go down to the Dollar Tree, get you an old, get you a toothbrush for $1, and that's do some scrubbing, and that especially on some of these miniatures that have really tight nooks and crannies, you want to really get in there and get them cleaned up. But you want to make sure your print is like 100% dry before you stick it under the UV lamp.
And I always remove my supports before I hit it the UV, before I cure it also.
I do too.
That way they're not brittle like glass. And I always wear safety glasses. Usually when I go to the sink to rinse it after I had the IPA bath, I'll turn the water on and let it trickle. I wear safety glasses because it flies, and then I rip them off that way or clip them off.
Yep. That's not a bad idea.
So, because for quite a while, I was getting a red eye on one side. It seemed like every time I was resin printing, the next day my eye was red. But I guess it was just it was unrelated. I don't think it had anything to do with resin. But as far as for odor, I've never had a problem with Elegoo resin or ZYLTECH or Sun Lu. Yeah, and I tried ZYLTECH. I have had no problem with any kind of odor or having to vent it outside or anything.
Yeah, that's pretty much my experience with the smells of resin, because some of the first resins I started using, I don't know if I have any more up there or not, was the Anycubic, and Anycubic was god awful. It would fill a room up with fumes, and boy, it'd make your eyes water. But the Elegoo, some of the water washable Elegoo, and any of the ZYLTECH is really low odor, and I haven't had any issues with that. And a lot of the printers now have either rubber seals around them, and once they're running, you really can't smell it.
And then people have freaked out. Oh, you're rinsing your prints in the sink. It's going down the drain. It went from green mean to IPA. By the time the IPA is out of it, there's nothing going down the sink.
Yeah.
When you think about it, people put acid and Clorox in the laundry, in the toilet. I'm not worried about a real minute speck of resin going down the sink when I dump acid in my toilet. So, anyway. What about Anycubic green? Oh, what Anycubic green is talking about. Yeah, that's what it stopped me from getting the resin printing for a long time. Originally, the price was kind of high, but then they kept coming down. They dropped down below 500. And I was thinking, well, where am I going to vent it at? Because this resin smells so bad. And then I bought my Saturn. I got Elegoo, and it's like, wow, I don't smell anything.
Yeah.
Now, sure, when the print first gets done and you first take off the cover, you can smell it initially, but it doesn't stink up the house or anything like that. It's not bad at all. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. And I think I've already showed. Did I already show this picture?
You did.
Well, I think I did. See what we got. Oh, here's the other project I was working on. My Ghostbuster car at 250% scale. This came off of Cults 3D. The designer, his name is One-Eyed Monster, and it's under $10. It's like $9.95 or something like that. It's got a PDF file. It explains in detail how to assemble it. It's got an audio file to include with it. If you have you can print out stickers to put on the doors. The file is there to do that. It's extremely a detailed model. Very nice.
Cool.
And Matthew, a friend of mine, is printing one out at 250%. God, what's his name? I want to say Wally, but he goes by another name. Is printing his out in resin at 100%. His name is slipping my mind. I hate when I do this. I know these people. I chat with them all the time. I see their posts, and then I go live, and I didn't write it down. I can't remember his name. Walton Harris. Yeah, Walton Harris is doing one at 100% also. And my wife's yelling about something. Oh yeah, she says get back to my questions. Do you have a favorite print you've ever done?
Oh gosh, not really. I mean, there's a lot of them. I mean, when I started printing resin prints, those were probably any of the miniatures. I really like printing miniatures, and just the really high detailed I really don't. To be honest with you, I really don't have a favorite.
Do you have any other hobbies that you're involved in?
Oh gosh, other than the coffee truck, I like gaming, so I like I'm a big gamer, so
Awesome.
Been wanting a PS5 here, but so I tend to get every gaming system that comes out. So like playing first person shooters, like doing that.
Are you into VR?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I've got it's around here somewhere, right? I've got a Oculus Rift here, so yeah,
Cool.
yeah, into VR, and if I can get it away from my grandson because he likes playing with the VR. I've got some drones. I've got some of the DJI drones. I've got several DJI drones. I've got I was fortunate enough in my last job that they actually paid for me to study to get my commercial pilot's license. So I'm a commercial pilot for at least with drones. So
Wow.
So yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've got a Vive. I bought one when they first came out. They were like $950, and I've wanted one for like 30 years. When they first talked about VR back in the early '90s, and I love it. It's awesome. And then I got an Odyssey, and there's a game I used to play all the time called Elite Dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
You're in space, there's space stations, there's planets, and when you're in VR, you feel like you're really there. It is just unbelievable. But then I got into 3D printing, so I don't do VR as much. But I love it. It's awesome.
Well, that's why I bought the HOTAS. I've got a HOTAS up there. I haven't hooked it up yet, but I bought that specifically for Elite Dangerous. Because,
I have an X52. I took a piece of not pine, a piece of oak, and I got it mounted on that, painted black, and I just kind of clamped that to my desk. And then I use voice attack, which I have to reconfigure. I got it screwed up. And voice attack, you can say your commands verbally if you don't know where the buttons are. So,
yeah, cool. Yeah, that was it's a great game. Great game.
Yeah, I've got like 3 billion credits. I know there's been so many things that have happened over the last 2 years when I haven't been playing. And as a matter of fact, I played a few months ago, and I had to like relearn the game. It had been so long, I forgot what button did what. But it's unbelievable. It's awesome.
Yep.
So I love going out and blowing people up and killing them typically. And I'm in solo play, open play, or I'm not in open. I'm playing solo.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I don't want to have however much money tied up in my shit and have some jack come along and boom, blow me up.
Yep.
I'm not all that money. And that happened when I first started playing. I took out one of my best ships. I don't remember if it was my Anaconda or what. I took it out and I did something wrong and I got wasted. And I was so mad because I tried to jump out of the game like I used to be able to do, but I couldn't. They wouldn't let me out. They changed something.
Oh no!
I lost my ship. So I don't remember. Anyway, moving on. Next question. Are you married? Do you have kids, pets?
Yes, I am. I am married to my wife, Rhonda, and let's see, we've been married for. She's gonna kill me if I don't remember this. So I got married in 1983. So you do the math.
Wow.
Yep. So and I've got two daughters. And I have 5 grandkids and 1 on the way. So at the end of January, I'll have 6 grandkids. 6 grandkids.
Yeah. What's the best way not to leave dimples? Okay. I'm using light supports currently, and I forget what angle it was. I forget. I don't have the slicer open right now, but yeah, you don't want a dimple inside the print. You can leave it a slightly high, but I forget what setting it's called. And if anything, if it's not flush, it'll be a little tiny bump there you can lightly sand off. You don't want a pit. And he's talking about getting pits in his models.
Yeah.
It's a settings thing, but I don't remember what it was. I don't have the slicer open.
There's one of the settings in Chi2 Box. You can set the depth of that post too. So you can, if you can decrease the depth of that top post and shrink the size of it to where it's almost a pinpoint. Some people will use like the spherical attachment points, and sometimes you just kind of have to play around with it. But the smaller that you can, and it's kind of a two-edged sword, right? Because if it's not attached well enough, you're going to end up, your print's going to end up in the drink as it's getting pulled up. So, but it's using you want to use a light enough support on the tip, so you want to look at the tip size and there's a setting in there that talks about the, there's a setting where you can adjust the depth of that tip. And if you can back it out, to a point where it doesn't leave as much of a dimple. Also, if you want to orient your model on the build plate to where, let's say that you've got I don't have one here, but if you have let's say you have a miniature and he's got a cloak on, you want to angle him to where those supports are on that cloak and not anywhere on his face or, anywhere on his chest. So what you're doing is you're getting exactly. Yeah. So you'll want to do it to where either they can't be seen. And there's a lot of times, and you mentioned it as well, Jerry, is if you get a dimple, you can take like a toothpick and dip it in a little bit of resin and then just put a small drop and then take a UV flashlight and then hit that small drop with the UV flashlight. So basically you'll get like almost like a little hump in there, but
lightly sand it.
Yeah, and just lightly sand it, and that dimple will go away. Of course, you don't want to go over your entire model, and then you have 100 of them. But
I use sanding sticks, and I use these nail files. They're flexible. They work on just about everything.
Yep.
And I've got I can't reach them, but you can buy sanding twigs. They're different type styles of sandpaper and little tiny twigs over on Amazon to get in little nooks and crannies. Because obviously this won't fit everywhere, but a sanding twig usually will.
Yep.
And a lot of people are having trouble, I see, with the bigger resin printers, the $2,000 and up resin printers with large things coming off the build plate. They're having trouble getting things to in here.
Mm-hmm.
Are they printing flat or what do you think's going on there?
And there's a lot of things that are going on. You've got what they talk about, the suction forces, because basically what you're doing is it's a tug of war between the FEP and the build plate, and what you want is the build plate has to win. So because what it's doing is it's pulling, once the resin cures on that FEP, the build plate is pulling it away almost like a blown up balloon, and you're kind of pinching the balloon and you're pulling it and you let go. So there's some flexibility with that. So you want the build plate to be able to pop that resin or the cured resin off of the FEP. And a lot of people will ask me, they'll say, I hear this weird noise, when I'm resin printing. I hear this kind of a clicking sound. It's kind of a pop. And what it is, it's that resin that's being pulled off, of the FEP. And that's actually a good sound. If you hear that, that means that you're, 9 times out of 10, your print's not going to fail when you hear that popping sound that's coming off the resin. On the larger, to be honest with you, I haven't fired up this Phenom yet, but from some of my research is, you've got to have a really good base. You got to make sure that you've got your base layers, that that's your foundation of your print. So you want those long cured, the long curing base layers. So you've got 4 or 5 base layers, and they're in Chi2 box, and usually those are set for 25 seconds or something like that. There's those first layers for your supports, and those are just there to make sure that they stick real well before the normal layer curing time kicks off.
What do you think about PTFE lubricant? I use 3-in-1 PTFE oil I put it on both sides of my FEP. Then I use a soft cloth or a shop blue towel, not anything harsh. Rub it off. Then I add my resin. I mean, it seems like it works fine for my Mars, but I've had a lot of people say on larger printers it's really done nothing for them.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I've never used it. I haven't had any issues with it before. So
Okay.
I've never. I know Uncle Jesse had. He had a video on using it, and I just never had any issues with it before. And 9 times out of 10, if I have issues with either my print sticking to the FEP, it's either my bill plate is not completely level, or it's not close enough to when I'm doing the leveling. I don't have everything perfectly level, and I noticed that on my Frozen Sonic Mini the other day when I'm leveling it with paper. When you're pulling that paper out, if one side gives more than the other, then your plate is not completely flat. So once you loosen the bolts on the print head, and you have to put even pressure on that, and then when you tighten those bolts up, what's going to happen is sometimes that plate will pull up in spots, and you kind of have to really play around with it and put even pressure on it as you're tightening those things down, and just kind of check it over, and once it's completely flat, again, I've never had any issues with it.
And you have a full-time job, I believe. You're not retired yet, right?
No, I'm not retired yet. No, I'm working IT, and I have for the past about 20 plus years. So yeah, I'm working remotely now. Have been since March, but
okay. Well, does that tie you up for 8 hours a day, or do you have a lot of breaks during the day working from home?
No, I can take breaks during the day. So I'll go out and check on the animals and take a break. So my job does afford me to be able to get up and do my chores and do what I need to do. So yeah.
All righty. Well, that's really awesome. Do you have any other advice for different creators on YouTube and content creators on making videos or reviewing things? You have an opinion on that, or what they might do?
Yeah, that's really a good question too. You almost have to. What I would suggest if you're wanting to be a content creator is you need to find your niche, and what I mean by that is I started this channel kind of on I actually just wanted to help folks out because I was real excited about this Anycubic Photon that I got. That was my first resin printer, and I just started talking about it, and I wanted to share my my thoughts about how to level this thing. So there's a lot of videos that you're actually teaching someone how to do something, or if you have a really good tip that you may have learned from somebody and you want to share it with the group. But what I think what happens is a lot of folks they try to do too much all at once. They'll talk about your resin printing, but then they'll go off on a tangent and say, hey, I'm going to review this diet soda that I drank the other day, or I'm gonna do an eating contest, and it's just like it's almost like your Facebook site there, Jerry. What you do is you don't think that, hey, people are going to be real excited about just a small niche but like with resin printing is kind of blown up. It started out with the FDM printing, and then now resin printing has got real popular. I mean, there's enough folks that you could have just a resin printing channel, or if you want an FDM printing channel. I mean, if you look at Sept, you look at Chuck Hellebuck. I mean, a lot of times he spends most of his time on the Ender 3, or any of the Ender stuff, and his channel is gone crazy. And it's just every week, it's consistency, and that's one of the things that I'm real bad about, and a lot of it's just because I get a full-time job, but is being consistent, because it's almost like you're watching your favorite TV show, and your favorite TV show comes on every Friday night at 8 o'clock, and it's like you have to be consistent and produce that content for folks, make it interesting for them, make them laugh, give them something to want to come back to you, and watch you again. And again, you don't have to talk about everything. It's just pick something that you really like to do, or that you love to do, whether that's painting or, and me, like I said, I like to talk about everything that's 3D related, whether that's lasers or FDM printers or, or resin printing, anything like that, that I can help folks out with. And another thing is really neat is if you're going to do a resin channel or a 3D printing channel, is go find a print that you really like you did Photos Mint. You can do a series called, I did one time I did a series called What's on the Bill Plate. And I just found an artist that I thought was, really cool. And I would just show people how to print this one object. And then I would share the artist's information, and he would get some, some feedback from folks, and that it would drive them to them, and it was just something cool, And I guess the last tip I would say is to you will want to produce videos that have certain longevity to them. I mean, you almost, and it's with 3D printing, it's difficult, right? I mean, because you can talk about a printer and do a review, but a year later, something better's come along,
Yeah.
and so it's like, well, that video on YouTube, it's taken a hit. I mean, as far as people watching it, because with YouTube, it's all about the views. I mean, it's really not about how many subscribers you have. It's how many views you get and how long people watch it. So if you do a how-to of something, whether that's leveling a bill plate, something that's generic, that's that crosses all spectrums, and you can do that, and you can have a little bit of longevity where a year later someone can rewatch it. So you'll have, but again, you want to keep stuff fresh. You want to kind of keep on the cutting edge of what people are doing. What like right now in the resin printing, resin printing started out, you had the RGB screens, and then you transitioned over to the monochrome screens. You're going from the smaller, Frozen Sonic Mini, you're going to the Saturn, like the mid-size now. So now the mid-size is kind of taken off because you can print bigger stuff. It's kind of like FDM printing, right? When you started with your Ender 2s and Ender 3s, and then you got your CR10S, and then now you've got these large FDM printers. And so, people want to print big stuff. They want to print, full size, Star Wars robots and things like that. And or they're, maybe using the 1 millimeter nozzle instead of the 0.4 and things like that. So yeah, it's, that's another thing, just trying to keep on the cutting edge of everything, make people happy.
Yeah, I got to the point where I was going to buy a larger resin printer or get a CO2 laser. The resin printer I know right now is not going to make any money. Look around me, you'll see evidence of that everywhere. But the CO2 laser, I can make some really cool stuff by all the content creators that are out there that have, and I can kind of follow their lead, and I think it can make me money.
Sure.
Other than Christmas gifts and things like that, I think I can make money with it to help pay for my hobby, to help further my endeavors. So I think that'll work out real good.
Once you learn how to do that, teach other people how to do it. Teach other people how to make the stuff that you're making, and then it's kind of a win-win.
When I posted my first video on the CO2 laser over on the laser group for K40, I thought I was getting punked by everybody. Because I had so many people asking me certain dumb questions, what I consider dumb questions, and I gave them the correct answer to the best of my knowledge. And I thought I was getting punked. It's like, why are you asking this? But anyway, I'll learn. I don't know anything about lasers other than common sense.
No, you'll learn
like with everything else.
There's lots of good YouTube videos and lots of good stuff out there.
I'm going to buy 2 pairs of glasses, even though it's in an enclosure. If I ever had the lid up for any reason, you never know when something might ricochet. I don't want to lose my sight. I'll wear glasses just for the hell of it. Accidents happen. Be extra careful. I'll get a pair for my wife if she's in the room and I'm working on it. For whatever reason, I fire that laser. If the door is open, I want to make sure she has glasses on. Yeah. Because shit happens and we don't want to go blind. So.
Yep. And the CO2 laser, you can't see it. So it's invisible. Yeah. So, yeah.
I seen a guy done a hot dog video I was watching today where he took a hot dog and he said, well, you can't see it, but here's what happens. And he put a hot dog at room temperature in front of it. It didn't cut all the way through it like Star Trek or something like that, but it did burn it, obviously. So,
yeah,
interesting video.
They'll bite you.
But I'd like to thank you very much for being on today. It's been great chatting with you.
You too, Jerry.
If you want to get a hold of Garret, guys, go over to YouTube or on Facebook, like him, follow him. Most people probably do. You've got a great channel. We love your videos and your content. and you're just an all-around great guy.
Cool. Thanks, Jerry. Enjoyed being on the channel.
I'll be right back with you in 1 second.
All right.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for stopping in. A lot of you guys came in late. Please rewatch the video, share the video. Next week on Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, when I have ZYLTECH on down in Texas, they're going to pop on for an hour, and we're going to talk about their company and their products. And we're going to have a few giveaways also from ZYLTECH on that live stream. I'll make a post for it this weekend, but I'd like to thank everybody, for stopping by, hanging out, leaving comments. I appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, share. If you want some cool discounts, in the description below, there's ways to do it. If you'd like to help out my channel, there's ways to do it down there also. So thank you, everybody very much, and happy printing.